Good evening, everyone. We are back in Pharmacovigilance Week 3 session with challenges in adverse drug reaction reporting for herbal and nutraceuticals. In previous session, we discussed about AI assisted workflows using AI prompts for MedDRA coding and narrative generation. In today's session, Divya Thitemam delivers the session on challenges in adverse drug reaction reporting for herbal and nutraceutical. Over to you, ma'am.
Okay, so welcome everyone. Today we will explore the unique challenges of adverse drug reaction reporting for the herbal and nutraceutical products. While the pharmaceutical have well established pharmacovigilance system, herbal product face the gap due to the variability. So underreporting and misconception about their safety with growing the global use of the herbal remedies and the supplements. The monitoring their adverse effect has become a critical issue for the both patient safety and regulatory oversight. So, in this lecture, we will examine the market scale, underreporting crisis, casualty complexities, product viability, contamination issues, and the possible strategies to strengthen the pharmacovigilance framework in expanding sector. The growing complexity of herbal pharmacovigilance, the herbal and the nutraceutical market has seen the paid expansion, but pharmacovigilance system struggle to keep pace. So, unlike conventional drug, herbal product have the variable composition and are often the perceived as a natural and the safe. So, this culture brief the complicates safety monitoring. So, moreover, the product quality depend the heavily on cultivation, processing, and the storage condition consistent outcome. So regulatory system often the lack of harmonization, creating the gaps in global monitoring. The complexity increase the consumers frequently self-medicine and do not the disclose usage of the healthcare professional. And this pharmacovigilance in this sector must deal with the both scientific and in psychoculture challenges to protect the patient effectively. The next one is the market scale and the regulatory landscape. So, herbal and nutraceutical market represent the multi-billion dollar global industry with the rapid growth projected in the coming years. In this UK alone, the herbal market was valued at 42 billion in 2023 with the global growth rate of the 73% accepted by the 2028. So, it regulatory oversight the remain the inconsistent, and some countries treat those products as a medicine with the mandatory adverse drug reaction reporting. So while others classify them as a dietary supplement with voluntary systems. So this fragment and regulatory framework make it difficult to enforce the safety monitoring uniformly. So with million of potential adverse event going the undetected each year. So stronger international collaboration is urgently required for the market scale and the regulatory landscape. The next one is the underreporting crisis. So one of the most pressing the challenges in words widespread underreporting of the adverse drug reaction related to the herbal and nutraceutical products. So unlike the pharmaceuticals where adverse events are relatively well tracked, report for the herbal product are the often so missing or incomplete. That patient may not the associate side effect with the herbal supplement, while the healthcare professional may be underestimate their risks. And studies suggest that the million of adverse events remain the unreported annually undetermined the pharmacovigilance efforts. So this underreporting not only the compromise the patient safety but also weakens the regulatory oversight. So without accurate data, it becomes nearly impossible to identify the safety signals, relying the intervention and the leaving patient voluntary to preventable harm. So these are the unreporting crisis. The next one is the scope of the underreporting. So research revealed the magnitude of the underreporting in herbal pharmacovigilance. So nearly 90% of the herbal related adverse drug reaction globally are estimated to the unreported. So among the healthcare professional, 68% admit to rarely reporting the adverse event linked to the herbal product. So often due to the lack of training of the awareness or the awareness from the consumer perspective is 42%. So do not consider the herb capable of the causing the adverse drug reactions and the leading to non-disclosure. So this figure highlight to how the systematic and culture barriers reinforce the underreporting. So without accurate data, signal detection, and the casualty assessment remain the unreliable. So addressing the unreporting requires the improving the professional training, enhance the consumer awareness, and the simplifying the reporting mechanism to encourage the participation. So these are the scope of the underreporting. The next one is the factor contribute to underreporting. So several interrelated factors contribute to poor adverse drug reaction reporting for the herbal products. So culture perception play a key role as many people believe the natural equals safe. So drawing on the historical use and the marketing claim. So healthcare gap also matters. So many professionals receive the little training in herbal pharmacology and they face the time pressure that discourage the reporting. So patient meanwhile maybe hide the supplement use due to the fear and so forgetfulness or the assuming it is irrelevant. So the reporting system themselves are often the complex, discourage engagement together, and this factor is create and the environmental where the adverse drug reaction remain hidden or undetermined both the pharmacovigilance effectiveness and the patient safety initiatives. So these are the factor for the contributing to underreporting. Next one is the healthcare professional challenges. So healthcare professional faces a significant barrier in reporting the herbal adverse drug reaction. Limited training in herbal pharmacology means many unfamiliar with the product composition and their potential interactions. So recognize the adverse drug reactions linked to the herb is a difficult without dedicate interaction database. So systematic issue also hinder to reporting, and this process is time consuming, and the casualty is often the uncertain, and the multiple overlapping reporting system add a confusion. So inadequate feedback further the reduce the motivation as a professional rarely hear back on the submitted reports. So these challenges demonstrate the urgent need to better the training and simplify the reporting tools and the stronger feedback mechanism to support healthcare professional in pharmacovigilance role. So patient non-disclosure patterns. So patient behavior also play a critical role in underreporting. So many patients fail to disclosure their use of the herbal product to healthcare providers. The survey shows the reason it could not being the asked or consider it is a irrelevant. So fearing, disapproval, or simply forgetting. So this non-disclosure creates major safety risks, in especially when the herbal product interact with the prescribed medication. For example, herbs like John's wort can significantly alert the drug metabolism. So it patient may not the mention their uses. So encourage the open communication, educating the patients about the risks and the integrating supplement. The use of the questions into the routine, the consultations, and are a vital step in improving the pharmacovigilance for the herbal therapy. The next for the casualty assessment and complexities. So, assessing the casualty for the herbal adverse drug reaction is a far more complex than for the conventional drugs. Then herbal products often the contain dozen or even hundred of bioactive compound, making it difficult to isolate the consumer their agent, and the batch variability adds a further uncertainty, as well as composition differ for the between the manufacturings and the even harvest. So temporal relation may be the nuclear due to the delay or cumulative effects. So, confounding the factor such as a polypharmacy or lifestyle influence also complicate assessment. So, these challenges undermine the traditional causality frameworks, and they highlight the need for the adapted criteria, the advanced analytical method, and the more comprehensive research into the herbal product, the pharmacology and toxicology. Next one is a causality assessment framework limitation. So traditional casualty frameworks such as the World Health Organization in the Uppsala Monitoring Center system face the limitation when applied to the herbal product. For example, uh, temporal relations are the less clear as a herbal adverse drug reaction may have delayed the onset, de-challenge and re-challenge assessment are complicated by the uh, gradually as well as a batch variability. So mechanism are difficult to establish due to the limited pharmacological data, and the overall the difficulty level is significantly higher compared to the conventional drugs. So this limitation make the adverse drug reaction reporting for the herbal product is more uncertain and less standardization. So adapt the frameworks that account for the multi-component complexity and the batch variability. So are essential to the strain the herbal pharmacovigilance. So these are the casualty assessment framework for their limitation, the multiple active component, batch variability, and the temporal relationship and the co-founding factors. So next one is the World Health Organization Uppsala Monitoring Center casualty criteria adaptations. The World Health Organization and the Uppsala Monitoring Center casualty frameworks works well for the conventional drug, but applying it to the herbal products present the serious challenges. For instance, the temporal relationship are the harder to define because the herbal adverse drug reaction may have to uh, a delay to onset, and de-challenge is complicated by the gradual discontinuation pattern. So while the re-challenge is often unethical and are the unreliable due to the batch variability. So establish of the mechanism into also difficult because most of the herbs lack the comparative pharmacological data, and this factor is elevate the difficulty level for the herbal casualty assessment. So therefore adaptation to existing frameworks alongside the new methodologies are urgently required to improve the reliability and the accuracy in elevated the herbal adverse drug reactions. The next one is a multi-component complexity. So unlike the pharmaceuticals, which unusually contain a single active ingredient, herbal product often the compromise the hundred of bioactive compounds. So this compound can interact the synergetically or the antagonistically, making the extremely challenging to identify which constituent is responsible for the adverse drug reactions or the adverse effects. So for example, is turmeric extracts may be contain over the 300 compounds or each with the potential therapeutic or toxic effect. So standardization usually focus on the one or two market compound, but this oversimplifies the real complexity. So consequently, attributing the adverse drug reaction to the single compound is a nearly impossible. So this multi-component nature is a major obstacle in herbal pharmacovigilance and demanding the more advancing analytical and the toxicological approaches. So next one is challenging in establishing in biological plausibility. So establishing the biological for the herbal adverse drug reaction is often the difficult due to the limited mechanism data, and many herbal compound remain the poorly studied at the molecular level. So their modes of the action are the unnuclear, and the individual variation further the complicate to matters as a genetic polymorphism in the drug metabolization enzyme influence how to difficult to the patient respond. So the herb and drug interaction are the another layer of the complexity, which is multiple pathways and the enzyme involved. And the additionally cumulative effect from the long term use may be lead to the adverse event not apparent in short term exposure. So together these factors create the significant uncertainty and the making it harder to establish the clear casual links between the herbal use and the adverse reactions. So next one is a product variability crisis. So one of the greatest challenges in herbal pharmacovigilance is product variability. The unlike the standardized the pharmaceuticals herbal products vary the significantly based on the cultivation condition, harvest timing, and the geographical origin. So difference in extraction method, processing technique, and the storage condition further add the variability. So even the standardized product may be differ in marker, compound concentration, creating the inconsistent between the batches, and this variability make it difficult to access the safety. As some the product name may be represent the different chemical profiles, and this crisis of the variability highlights the urgent need to stricter the quality standard and they harmonize the manufacturing practices and they transport the labeling to ensure the consistent and the reliable product safety assessment. So these are the product variability crises. The next one is the sources of the product variability. So herbal product variability stem from the multiple sources. The raw material differ by the plant species, growing conditions, harvest time, and the region of the origin. So manufacturing process also introduce the inconsistent with the variation in extraction method, solvent, and the quality control standards. And the standardization efforts often the focus on the selected marker compound, but this may be not capture the full spectrum of bioactive substance. And the storage conditions such as the temperature, humidity, and the packaging can further alter the product the composition over time. So each stage from the cultivation to storage introduce the variability that complicates safety monitoring and the recognition and addressing these sources is crucial for the improving the pharmacovigilance system for the herbal product. So next one is the manufacturing quality inconsistency. So global studies reveal a significant inconsistency in the quality of the herbal and nutraceutical products. So analysis of the over the 100 and 1200 products shows the wide variation in the chemical composition and the sometime with the active ingredient level the fluctuating by the 300 to 400% between the batches. So unaccepted metabolites may also be present due to the differences in cultivation and the processing methods, such as the inconsistency lead to unpredictable therapeutic effect and the variable toxicity profile. So complicating the casualty assessment and the poor manufacturing practices increase the risk of the contamination, adulteration, and the unreliable product performance. So these finding the underscores the importance of the implementing the strict good manufacturing practices, it's a GMP, and the international quality standard to safeguard consumer to the health. So these are the manufacturing quality inconsistent data. The next one is the impact of the batch to batch variations. So batch to batch variability has a significant safety implication as a active compound concentration can be vary the several fold and the leading to inconsistent therapeutic outcome and the unpredictable toxicity. So seasonal and the environmental factor influence the chemical profiles which while the differences in the processing method add the further the inconsistency. So these variability make it difficult to reproduce the adverse event and the finding the complicating both the chemical violation and the regulatory oversights. So patient may react the differently depending on the batch they consume and the making the casualty assessment highly uncertain. Addressing these issues require the stronger standardization method, robust quality testing, and the transparent product labeling. And without this safeguard, batch variation remain the persisted the barrier and the reliable herbal in pharmacovigilance. So these are the impact of the batch to batch variation. So next one the contamination and adulteration issues. So herbal and nutraceutical products often the face contamination and adulteration risk. So microbial contamination with the pathogenic bacteria or the fungi pose a direct health threats. So in especially for the uh, patients and the heavy metal contamination including the lead, mercury, cadmium and the arsenic can occur through the soil absorption or the processing equipment. So pharmaceutical adulteration where the synthetic drug are secretly added to enhance the pursue the efficacy, represent the serious safety risks, and these issues compromise both the patient safety and the integrity of the pharmacovigilance system. So, stronger testing protocols and the regulatory enforcement and the industry transparency are necessary to prevent the contamination and the adulteration. So, ensuring that product reaching the consumer are safe and the reliable. So, these are the main factors for the contamination and adulteration issues. So, next one, the regulatory framework gap. So, current regulatory framework struggle to address the unique challenges uh, posed by the herbal and nutraceutical product in the pharmacovigilance system. So, current regulatory framework struggle to manage the herbal pharmacovigilance effectively, and the classification system vary the widely. Some countries treat the herbal product as a medicines and the other as a dietary supplements or the food items. uh, so adverse drug reaction reporting is often the voluntary rather than the mandatory. So in especially in the United States, so limiting data ability, enforcement resources are also weaker compared to the pharmaceutical monitoring, and this rises of the cross border online scale the further the undermines the regulatory oversight, and as products from the unregulated markets bypass the local safety standard. And this addressing this gap require the harmonizing the international framework, stronger enforcement mechanism, and the update regulation trained to the complexity for the herbal nutraceutical products. The next one is a global regulatory landscape. So global regulatory landscape for the herbal pharmacovigilance is highly fragmented. In the EU, the herbal medicine fall under the EMA or MHRA with the mandatory for the adverse drug reaction reporting, but the moderate the enforcement. So in this US and the FDA classify the supplement as a dietary product. So leaving the adverse drug reaction reporting voluntary and the weak. So Canada has a stronger requirement with the mandatory reporting for the natural heat product. So Australia TJ is enforce the complementary medicine safety with the mandatory for the adverse drug reaction reporting. Where the inconsistency remain the classification, enforcement, and the monitoring. So without international harmonization, safety signals may be overlooked, and the coordinate the global efforts are needed to standardize the framework and straight herbal product pharmacovigilance. In this UK regulatory challenges, in this UK herbal and nutraceutical safety monitoring faces the specific challenges. The classification as a major issue, some product fall the between medicine and the food supplement, creating the regulatory gray zone. Enforcement is also limited due to the favor resources for the post marketing monitoring compared to the pharmaceuticals, and the cross border commerce the further the complicate oversight as an online scale often the bypass national safety controls, and this gap leaves the patient exposed unmonitored risks and the hinder accurate adverse drug reaction reporting. Straightening the UK regulation require the clear classification system, and they improve the enforcement the capacity and the strategy to address the increasing the influence of the global online market on the herbal product distribution. Next one is a gap in the current adverse drug reaction reporting system. To existing the adverse drug reaction reporting system where the preliminary design to conventional pharmaceutical and they often fail to the capture the complexity for the herbal product. So identification system lack the standardization, making the trend analysis difficult. So report are frequently incomplete with the huge product description and the missing the batch information. As a result, the adverse drug reaction linked to the herbal product are under detected or the misclassified. So improve the reporting system required the adapting them the to the herbal product characterization, incorporating standardization identifiers, and the ensuring the higher quality of the data collection. So without this upgrade, the pharmacovigilance effort for the herbal product will be remain ineffective and unreliable. The next one for the European pharmacovigilance challenges. So Europe has made a progress in regulating the herbal medicine, but continues to face the challenges. So in 2004, the traditional herbal medicine directive established a framework, but apply only to product with the with a 30 years safety history. So 2012, the pharmacovigilance regulation extended adverse drug reaction reporting to herbal medicine. It implementation varied across the number state. In the 2019, UDRA vigilance enhancement improved the database capacity, but herbal coding issue the persist. By the 2024, the harmonization remained incomplete with the significant reporting gaps across the EU, and this inconsistency demonstrates the difficulty of applying the pharmaceutical style in pharmacovigilance to herbal products. And they highlight the need for the stronger and region-wide the regulatory coordination. So these are the European pharmacovigilance challenges. Next one is a case study, the turmeric hepatotoxicity. So turmeric widely used for the countries as a food, as a medicine, and illustrate the complexities for the modern herbal safeties. While the historical shape in dietary use, so today's the concentrate the curcumin supplement often the deliver the doses 10 to 50 times higher than the traditional level. So enhance the formulations such as those with the piperines, further the increase the systematic exposure. In recent years, the pharmacovigilance database have the reported growing case of the turmeric associated hepatotoxicity. This case study the uh, empathize how to traditional safety assumption cannot be directly applied to the modern supplement. So concentrate the extract and the novel formulation may create a new toxicity risk, highlights the need for the vigilant monitoring and update the guidelines and the caution dosing practices. So these are the detailed examination of the hepatotoxicity associated with the turmeric supplement. Next one is the turmeric from the traditional use to the modern concern. So turmeric is a curcuma longa, has been considered safe for the over the 4,000 years in the and traditionally medicine context, so where the modern supplement manufacturing has changed its a risk profile. So high dose extract often the standardized for the curcumi and are far the more potent than traditional preparations, and the formulation with the bioenhancer like the piperine or liposome and significantly increase the viability, altering the pharmacokinetics. While this boosts the therapeutic potential, also rises the risks of the toxicity, and this gap between the traditional use and the modern supplement practices demonstrate so why the historical safety data cannot be replaced the modern pharmacovigilance. So today's formulations require through the monitoring, dose assessment, and the regulatory oversight to ensure the consumer safety. The next one is the emerging hepatotoxicity reports. So recent years have been seen a rise in hepatotoxicity cases linked to the turmeric supplement. So report shows a pattern to fatigue, the abdominal pain, elevate the liver enzyme, and jaundice along the users. And these adverse events are the increasable visible in global pharmacovigilance database, and the with the coinciding with the turmeric growing the popularity. While the traditional turmeric use the rarely posts such as a RICS modern high dose supplement appear to introduce the new concern. And this trade the under sources the importance of the continuous safety monitoring as the emerging adverse drug reaction can challenge the long-standing perception for the herbal safety. And they identify such a risks early essential to guide the product labeling, healthcare professional awareness, and the regulatory intervention. The next one is the case analysis. This 47 years old female, uh, a detailed case study highlights the turmeric hepatotoxy potential. 47 years old female developed the fatigue, nausea, and the abdominal pain after the 8 weeks of the turmeric supplement in 500 mg curcumin extract daily. So laboratory result shows they elevate the LT, AST, bilirubin, and consistent with the liver injury. So other causes such as a viral hepatitis and the autoimmune conditions were the rule outs, and this patient condition gradually improve after the discontinuation, suggesting a strong link between the turmeric and the hepatotoxicity. And this case highlight the importance of the careful casualty assessment and demonstrate the how even the widely accept the herbal product can pose the risk under the modern supplement practices and the dosing regimen. So these are the case study for the case study analysis for the 47 years old female. The next one is the casualty assessment challenges. So casualty assessment for the turmeric hepatotoxicity illustrate the broader herbal pharmacovigilance issues, and the supporting evidence include the temporal uh, relationship and improvement after the discontinuation, and the similar cases reported in literature. So whoever the complicating the factor remain the uncertainty about the product composition and potential batch specific contamination, genetic variability in metabolism, and interaction with the unreported medication. So cumulative toxicity from the long term use may be also plays a role. And this challenge show that while the strong evidence may be support and association, and the full certainty in inclusive such as complexity under sources, the need for the adapt frameworks and the advanced analytical tool, and the stronger pharmacogenomics research to clarify the herbal adverse drug reaction casualty. Next one is propose the mechanism of the turmeric hepatotoxicity. So several mechanism may explain the turmeric associated hepatotoxicity. High dose curcumin can overwhelm the hepatic detoxification pathways and leading to oxidative stress and the direct hepatocellular injuries. So curcumin may also interact with the uh, cytochrome 5 P40 450 enzymes and producing the toxic intermediate, and the interfering with the drug metabolism. So immunological reaction, including the hypersensitivity, may trigger the autoimmune like the inflammation in uh, liver inflammation, as well as the additionally enhance the absorption formulation, such as those with the piperine may increase the toxicity risks by the boosting the systematic exposure. So this contaminate in the poor quality product may be further the contribute. And this possible mechanism highlight the complexity of the herbal adverse drug reaction and uh, and to need to for the mechanistic research to guide the safety monitoring and the regulation for the um, propose the mechanism as of the turmeric hepatotoxicity. Next one is the product specified risk factor. So these risks, the risks of the turmeric related hepatotoxicity depend on the product specific factor and the higher curcumin dose. And 50 gram is higher daily to increase the risk as compared to the lower dose, and the formulation with the bioenhancer like the piperine to elevate the systemic absorption, rising the toxicity potential, and the longer duration of use in especially beyond the 12 weeks, so further the increase the risk. And the finally product quality play a critical role. Those with the poor or unknown manufacturing standard pose for the greater danger. So this risk factor illustrate the why product labeling and the consumer education and the healthcare professional awareness are essential. By the recognize this risks, we can prevent adverse event while the maintaining the safe and evidence based use of the turmeric supplement. So next one is a regulatory respond to the turmeric cases. The regulatory response to the turmeric hepatotoxy highlight the dynamic role of the authorities, industries, and the healthcare professional in ensuring the safety. So agency like MHRA have the issue the alert and the mandate to label warning, and the straightness oversight of the high dose curcumin formulations. And the industry stakeholder have the respond with the voluntary adjustment, including the reducing the dosage and the adding the safety disclaimer. The healthcare organization also updated their guidelines, advancing the practitioners to carefully monitor the patient using this supplement. So this multi prolonged response illustrate the how the surveillance data can be trigger rapid and coordinate the intervention that improve the consumer protection. So importantly, it reflect the involving the nature of herbal safety regulation, where the traditional perception must align with the modern realities. So lesson from the turmeric cases. The turmeric hepatotoxic can be underscore the several critical lesson for the pharmacovigilance practices. So for the traditionally safety dose not guaranteed the modern safety as a concentrate extract can be exhibit the novel toxicity pattern. And the second for the dose response relationship must be rigorously elevated. Since the high dose often they exceed the traditional use level, the third patient-specific factor like the genetic or the comorbidities influence risk. And then the finally product quality, including the batch variability and the formulation method, and play as a decisive role in the outcome. So together, these insights the highlight the need for the uh, as a toller the safety assessment and the continuous vigilance and the update the regulatory framework that reflect the unique complexities for the herbal medicine used in complementary healthcare systems. The key learning points. So traditional safety and the modern safety, the historical use pattern may not be predict the safety for the concentrated standardized extract with the enhanced viability. The second is dose response relationship. The toxicity may be emerged at the dosage from the exceeding traditional use levels and require the careful dose dependent risk assessment. The third one is the individual susceptibility to genetic polymorphism and the underlying the health condition create the unpredictable risk profile in the patient population. The fourth one is the product quality impact. In this, manufacturing inconsistency and the formulation variable significantly influence the safety profile and the adverse event occurrence. So these are the key learning points. So implications for the pharmacovigilance practices. So these implications for the pharmacovigilance extend far the beyond the turmeric active monitoring of the widely used herbal supplement is critical, and especially those marketed with enhanced viability. Integrating electronic health record by applying the real world data can be support early signal detections, and the healthcare professional must be educated to recognize the herbal specific toxicities and the communicated risk effectively with the patient. So improve the adverse drug reaction reporting system to design to the handle the multi component product are the equally essential, and together these strategies enhance the patient safety and the faster responsible use to the herbal therapies. And this ultimately the modern pharmacovigilance must involve the accommodate the distinctive challenge and the posed by the complex natural products and the ensuring the evidence based regulation and the care. Next one is a comparative analysis and the other hepatotoxic herbs. So turmeric is only one example within the broader pattern of the herb-related hepatotoxicity. Other the concentrate extracts such as the green tea, kitaching, kava, and the black cohosh have also been linked to the serious liver injury. And these cases relevant that the hepatotoxy is not an isolated concern but recurring the challenge across the herbal pharmacotherapy. And this similarity reinforce the need to vigilant to monitoring and dose regulation and the transparent communication to consumers. And by the comparing the multiple example, and the researcher and the regulators can be identify the common mechanism. So straight the casualty assessment frameworks and create the more effective safety guidelines. And these comparative lanes also highlight the global scale of the herbal related liver injury risk. The next one is the addressing the crisis. So addressing the safety crisis in the herbal pharmacovigilance require the collective responsibility, and the regulatory agency must be tied to the frameworks and enforce the mandatory reporting and to conduct the post-market surveillance. And the healthcare professionals should be trained to identify and the reports the adverse drug reaction is systematically. So while the industry must commit to transparency, streak, and the quality assurance and the proactive monitoring, this research community play a vital role by the generating magnetic insights and the conducting safety studies and developing the predictive models by aligning these stakeholders so we can build a more reliable system that protect the patient while the preserving access to beneficial herbal therapies. And the only through the collaborative action can be herbal pharmacovigilance achieve the meaningful and the lasting improvements. So next one is a multi-stakeholder approaches. So regulatory bodies and healthcare professional, research community, and the industry. In this regulatory body, enhance the framework and the mandatory reporting and improve the enforcement mechanism. And the second is the healthcare professional. So healthcare professional including the education programs, clinical guidelines, and the systematic adverse drug reactions. in this research community, the safety studies and mechanism elucidation as well as the evidence generation. The last one is the industry is the quality assurance and the transparency and the proactive safety monitoring. So these are the multi-stakeholder approaches in the challenging the pharmacovigilance. The next one is the regulatory improvement needed. So future regulatory improvement must be focused on the four key areas. The first one is harmonized classification system should be developed, ensure the consistent reporting for the comparability across the uh, jurisdiction, as well as the second for the straighten quality standard back to regular audits and are essential to prevent the contamination, adulteration and the batch variability. And third one, enhance the post market surveillance, so can ensure the early detection of the adverse event. So finally, digital integration is a crucial. Modern reporting system should be accommodate and herbal complexity and improve the data accessibility, and this measure together can elevate the pharmacovigilance to meet the unique demand of the herbal medicine monitoring and ensure the both consumer safety and the scientific credibility in this rapidly expanding healthcare sector. This healthcare system enhancement, so, straightening the healthcare system is a critical for the herbal adverse drug reaction management. The professional education must be include the herbal pharmacology and the adverse drug reaction recognition, supported by the continuous medical education and the clinical decision tools. And these patient communication guidelines are the equally important to encourage the disclosure. So, integration into the electronic health record combined with the automated adverse drug reaction detection system can be streamlined surveillance. So, multidisciplinary safety committee and the clinical pharmacists can further support this process by the imbibing the herbal pharmacovigilance into the fabric to healthcare delivery. So, we not only improve the reporting rates but also enhance the overall patient safety, and this enhancement transfer from the fragmented efforts into the cohesive system wide safety practices. The next one is a technology solution. In this technology solution, there are three main for the AI power signal detection, blockchain traceability, and the mobile reporting apps. So, technology offers the innovative pathways for the advancing herbal pharmacovigilance, and the artificial intelligence can power the signal detection system, and they train the significantly on the herbal product database to uncover the pattern often the missed by conventional tools, and the backchain provide the traceability across the supply chain, so ensuring the rapid identification of the contaminated and the adulteration batches. To mobile application empower both the patient and the professional with the user friendly of the adverse drug reaction reporting tools and the guiding the assessment and the automated follow-up. So together these technologies modernize the safety monitoring, and they're making it more proactive, accurate and accessible for the most of the important leads. The technology bridge gap in current system and the creating a future where the herbal adverse drug reaction detection is a faster and more reliable and integrated into every healthcare. So industry quality initiative. So industry has a vital role in safeguarding herbal medicine safety. So voluntary certification program lead to independent third parties, so can establish the higher quality benchmarkers and transfer initiatives such as the public disclosure of manufacturing practices and the safety data help build the consumer trust, and the collaborative database shared across the manufacturing enable early detection, safety signal, where the investing the advanced analytical and preactive technology technique ensure the deeper understanding the risk. So ultimately, industry driven the initiatively complement regulatory oversight and the creating a culture of the responsibility and continuous improvement in herbal pharmacovigilance. And this research priority. So research remain the concern with the herbal pharmacovigilance progress. Key areas include the mechanism stick studies to uncover how to specific compound causes the adverse effect, the pharmacogenomics to identify the patient subgroup at a risk, and the herb drug interaction mapping to the predict the dangerous combination. So dose response research is equally crucial to establish the evidence based safety threshold, and these priorities will be lead to predictive models and the personalized risk assessment and the cleaner dosing guidelines. By the bridging the current evidence gap, research not only the inform the regulation and the clinical practices, but it also empower the consumer to make safer choice. And the strong investment in these areas ensure that the herbal medicine use of the grounded in scientific validity. So international collaboration models. So first one is the World Health Organization traditional medicine program, ICH guidelines extension. The third one is a regional harmonization. So World Health Organization traditional program to global framework developed for the herbal medicine and safety monitoring and the regulation. In this ICH guidelines extension to adapting the pharmaceutical safety standard for the herbal and traditional medicine. The last one is the regional harmonization, so coordinate the approach within the trading the blocks and the geographical region. The next one is a patient education and empowerment. So public awareness companies to natural doesn't always mean the safe, and the importance of the healthcare provider disclosure, quality product selection criteria, and the recognition of the adverse event warning signs, and the digital health tool, the supplement interaction checkers, quality rating database, personal health record integration, and the symptom tracking application. So these are the uh, uh, patient education and empowerment of the public awareness and the digital health tools. The next one is economic consideration. This economic burden of the herbal adverse drug reaction is the sustainable. Like in this UK alone, the annual healthcare costs are the essential at 2.8 billion, driven by the hospitalization, treatment, and the productivity loss. And where the investment is robust surveillance to the system, approximately 156 million dollars offer the remarkable cost benefit ratio as a 4.2 as a one, and this means a very pound spent to on the safety monitoring yield the significant healthcare savings. So this figure is strongly support the policy action and the demonstrating that the pharmacovigilance is not just a clinical necessity but also economic imperative, as well as by the recognition the financial impact of the herbal adverse drug reaction stakeholders, and can be justify the resource the allocation and the priority system to implement that the ultimately save both lives and the money. So implementation of the timeline year 1 to 2 regulatory framework update and stakeholder engagement. In 2 to 3 the technology development and pilot program. In year 3 to 4 the fully system development and the professional training. In this last the year 4 to 5 the evaluate the continuous improvement. So success metrics and the KPIs, the reporting improvements, so the 50% increase the adverse drug reaction reporting rates, improve the data quality scores, and they reduce the time to signal detection and enhance the casualty assessment accuracy. In this healthcare outcome, decrease the serious adverse event, empower the patient safety indicators, and the enhance the clinical decision making, reduce the healthcare illustration cost. In these barriers to the implementation, so dissipate the promising strategy, several barriers hinder the implementation, and they limited the resources, both the financial and the technological. So concern the regulatory agencies, the industry resistance may be arise from the concern over the increase the cost and the reduce the competitiveness. So deep state the culture belief about the herbal safety can also undermine the reporting and the regulatory enforcement, and the finally technical challenges such as the integrating a diverse data system and the standardizing the heterogeneous information and the further complicate progress. So addressing these barriers require the political will be sustain the funding and the stakeholder buy-in and continuous innovation. So by anticipating obstacle and developing the solution, the stakeholders can move from the theory to the practices. So ensuring that propose the improvement in herbal pharmacovigilance are achievable and the sustainable. The next for the path forward. So path forward in the herbal pharmacovigilance required the combination of leadership, engagement, research, and the collaboration. So regulator must be drive the reform that close to current gap while the supporting innovation. So healthcare professional must be committed to education and the systematic adverse drug reaction reporting. So research investment are needed to generate evidence for the safer use, while the cross sector collaboration will ensure the sustainable solution. Although the challenges are complex, they are not insummable. As well as by working collectively, stakeholders can build robust monitoring system that protect the patient and preserve across the beneficial herbal therapies. So the journey forward to demanding, but the rewards in patient safety and trust in unvaluable. So transferring the herbal and the nutraceutical safety monitoring requires to sustain the commitment and innovative approaches and the collaborative efforts across the all stakeholder in the healthcare ecosystem. The next one to the call to action, the regulatory leadership. So regulatory leadership it concerns on to effectively advocate the comprehensive regulatory reform that adverse and the unique challenges for the herbal products safely monitoring while the supporting the innovation and the access and the research investment to support the mechanistic studies and the safety research and the technology development to build the evidence base for the rational product herbal product use. In this professional engagement to come in to enhance the education and the systematic adverse drug reaction reporting and the patient communication about the herbal product risks and their benefits. So collaborative, last one is the collaborative actions, the faster partnership between the regulators, healthcare professional, industries, and the researcher to create the sustainable solution for the patient safety. So uh, without the decisive leadership and the fragmented efforts will be persist and leaving the patient vulnerable. So therefore, the regulator must set that tone and the coordinate the stakeholders and the drive systematic change that create a safer, more accountable environment for the herbal medicine use. And these challenges in herbal pharmacovigilance are complex, but not uh, is suitable for the with the dedicated efforts and the innovative approaches, so we can create the robust safety monitoring system and that product the patients while the preserving the access to beneficial the herbal therapies. And the uh, true progress in herbal pharmacovigilance so depends on the collaboration regulators and the healthcare professional researcher and industry must align their efforts to work common goals and the patient safety. Partnership should be focused on the sharing the data and the standardizing the practices and the co-developing innovative tools for the adverse drug reaction monitoring. So collaborative safety database, joint research project, and the transparent quality assurance practices, example is such as the cooperation. So patient also play an essential role and their empowerment must be priorities. And when all the stakeholders contribute, the realistic system emerges and one capable of the addressing the current challenges while the adapting to the future needs. The collaboration is not an optional; it is a key to meaningful, sustainable progress. So thank you so much. If any question.
Thank you, ma'am. There are few questions. First one is, how does the complexity of multi-component herbal products affect the ability to establish causality in adverse drug reactions?
Thank you, ma'am.
Hello, ma'am. Hello, ma'am. Question is posted on the screen. Hello, ma'am. Are you able to see the question? Hello. Hello.
Yes, may audible?
Ma'am, question is yes, yes.
Okay. So
Question is
question is
posted
how,
on the screen.
yes. How does the complexity of multi-component herbal compound affect to the, so adverse drug reaction is a multi-component herbal product and their casualty. So first there are the multiple adverse reaction like the presence of the multiple constituent and the variability of the composition as well as the pharmacokinetics and the pharmacokinetic interactions as well as a lack of standardization, application of the causality algorithms. So the complexity of the multi-component herbal product make it extremely difficult to establish the causality of adverse drug reaction because of multiple active constituents and the variability in composition and the synergetic as well as antagonist interaction, poor standardization and the frequent contaminate of the drug use. So this complexity limit the strength of the adverse that can be assigned with the attribute to the adverse drug reaction to the specific herbal formulation. Hello, hello, madam.
Hello.
Huh.
Second question is posted on the screen.
Okay. So second question is, how can healthcare the system integrate to electronic health record and the automated detection to enhance the reporting accuracy? So the integration electronic healthcare records to automated detection system and significantly improve the accuracy as well as the efficacy of the adverse drug reaction. So automated signal detection from the clinical data as well as the integrating of the decision support tools and the standardized data capture, natural languages processing, and the enhance the casualty assessment, and as well as the monitoring and the assessment as well as the feedback, and the uh, becoming the automated detection and the decision is a submission to the pharmacovigilance to authorize.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. It was a nice presentation.
Okay, thank you.